Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here, WilhiteWX.com. Want to bring you a little forecast update here on this week's weather. We've got some snow showers out there now. We're going to have snow showers around the next couple of days. We got another system moving in on Thursday that could bring us some light snow after we get a little bit of rain with it. And then we have a bigger storm this weekend of a mess to deal with. So all of that we need to discuss tonight quickly. So let's dive right into it. First, let's talk about everything in order. Let's talk about the snow showers that we're at. If I just show you radar as to where we're at, it's 7:18 Eastern time as I'm recording this, and I put this into motion. You can see there are a few light snow showers and flurries out there tonight. Nothing really significant at this point, but they are nonetheless certainly out there. And they're going to continue as we go through the night. We put future radar here into motion. We're looking at the high-res NAM here. You see we start to clear out over a good chunk of the area here by the morning time. But by tomorrow afternoon, we've got another wave of upper-level energy moving through. And actually, tomorrow afternoon, we could get quite a numerous amount of snow showers being modeled here as we head in towards the evening time hours here as well. So this is after dark. And that's one of the concerning times, because as we look at the temperatures here in a minute, what we're going to see is that will be after freezing. Now this starts to work out of the way early on Wednesday morning, and we clear out then for Wednesday afternoon. But let's take a look at temperatures, because temperatures in a little snow shower event like this are going to be key. Well, right now we're not doing so bad. We're still in the upper 30s across the area. By tomorrow morning, whenever you wake up, we're near the freezing mark across the area. But we will warm up quickly during the afternoon hours. We'll warm up to about 35, 36 around the area. Nothing huge as far as a warm-up goes out there, but nonetheless, a little bit of a warm-up. Enough that any of the snow showers that come down, they're going to melt on the ground unless you get just a heavy snow shower event that could put a light coating down. But it would be gone pretty quickly after it stops, but just be based on the temperatures there. But that'll change as you head into the evening time hours. And so here we are coming after dark, and you see we're cooling down, and you get into the evening and starting into the nighttime hours there. Well, you certainly go below freezing, and you're going in even into the 20s as you get on down across the area. So we're going to bottom out in the probably mid to upper 20s by the way things look here on Wednesday morning. And so because of that, any of the snow showers that fall tomorrow evening certainly would have that potential of sticking. And as we go back out here, well, you notice that is right whenever it looks the data is suggesting that we have a pretty healthy little wave moving through. So we certainly could have a little bit of accumulation with this. It's not a major event if we look at what the run is saying. A light coating, a dusting for some of us, certainly nothing significant, but there could be a few slick spots on the road on Wednesday morning and even during the overnight hours, especially on those untreated surfaces. So that's something to just sort of keep an eye on. Well, we got more snow showers as we go through later in the week as well. Here's what the new FV3. This is the test version of the GFS. It'll replace the operational GFS as we come into the new year. They haven't set an exact release date that I've heard yet, but sometime early in 2019 was the last update I had. It sees those, and then high pressure stays in control for Wednesday as we start to clear out. But by Thursday afternoon, we got another front that moves through the area. Could bring some light snows for portions of Indiana, maybe from I-70 on northward here. But for most of us right now, it's suggesting that it could be just rain. And some of the data suggests that it's rain going over to snow. This model not suggesting that for us, but some have. Regardless, it's going to be a very quick hitting wave. And I do think it just depends on how fast the cold air crashes back in. We're going to go up to near 40 or so on Thursday. But once we get that wave to move through, cold air is going to be crashing back in behind it again. And we could turn some of those over to snowflakes, but nothing significant at this point. It doesn't look like a big event. We'll trend it as we get closer, but just mention it that the possibility is there. Right now, it looks more like rain for southern Indiana and Kentucky at this point. But again, we'll trend it, and not a significant amount from there. From there, then you notice this big Arctic high pressure starts to build into our north. And what it's going to want to do is just sort of put a squeeze on a developing storm system down to our south. And watch what the new GFS is doing here. It's sort of taking this low and it's developing it roughly down around in here. And it's just sort of becoming more of an I-10 kind of an event, and just sort of taking taking the path sort of one of these numbers. But notice we do have a precipitation shield moving up and through us, and it's snow. In fact, it could be a pretty healthy snowfall according to this run. Now, every run right now has been significantly different, but this particular latest run of the FV3 GFS delivers a very healthy hit of snowfall. If we just take a look at this positioning right here, and we look at it from one run earlier, you notice there were a little bit of differences there. This run has a little bit of a weaker low. It's a little bit further to the south. This low is a little bit stronger. It's a little bit further to the north. It moves the heavier precipitation shield for as far as snow over us. It's a little to our south in this run. So there's some different runs. In fact, I could show you last night's run if we wanted to, just for purely for giggles. And what you would see from last night's run is that it doesn't really deliver us a whole lot of precipitation here at all. It's very light blue colors. And some of these runs, even from that, as you can see, this one, even lighter on it. It varies, but what you notice out of all of these runs that I'm showing you is that we are on the northern edge of this system. And that's consistent with other models too. Here's the way the Canadian makes this, and the Canadian, the latest Canadian from this morning, just barely skirts the tiny tip of southern Indiana with this. Again, for those of us in southern Indiana, you're on the northern edge of the system right now. The way the model is taking it is more of a Kentucky event at this point. But keep in mind that we are several days away. Timing on this would start probably late Friday after dark into the overnight hours. Be more of a Saturday event, and then probably be finishing up by Sunday morning. That's the way the modeling has the timing on this right now. But every model is a little bit different. If I show you the Euro, you kind of see a very strongly suppressed storm. And as you notice this, it doesn't even really make it into southern Indiana. It makes it as far north as Kentucky. It wants to make this more of an icing scenario, and then sort of there you go after that. Now, to show you again, every run is different on this. Let me just show you the one run previous of the Euro, and you can kind of get the idea that, see, it makes it, and it never even reaches southern Indiana. It reaches maybe central Kentucky, and then that's about it before it goes out. So again, you have an idea here that the models are greatly varying. As a result of that, well, then you're going to have greatly varying snow totals. So the operational GFS, the current run, delivers this, and it's just a big void. And so basically what you've got going on here is a low tracking off well to the south, and it's not even up here. It's way down here, sort of off the charts here. But what's happening here is the low sort of stops, and then it transfers its low over to a new coast and starts to ride up in this way. And so what that does is you've got precipitation that's here. It stops as it transfers to the coast and then picks up again, and it just leaves us in a big void here. Is that a possibility? Yeah, that's a possibility, but that's not probably the most likely scenario. You have the new GFS, the FV3, just really hammering us with some pretty heavy precipitation. Do keep in mind that some of these totals are mixed in with sleet, and so those extreme numbers, probably a little bit contaminated there. But again, you see the sharp cutoff in this, and you see just how sharp of a cutoff we are here in southern Indiana as well. Again, southern Indiana on the very northern edge of this. And so is there room for this to possibly lift up more? Maybe. Here's what the Canadian shows. And again, you show that same general idea. It's much more reasonable totals, but still a pretty hefty snowstorm here on the Canadian. And again, as I noted there, just look, here's basically nothing here. And you're going to 4 inches plus as you get south of here. So in this zone right here, you've got just a very, very sharp cutoff. And if you're on the northern edge of that, well, then that certainly can make a difference between quite a bit of snow and not much snow, if any at all. So that's something that we're going to have to watch close. And one of the tools that we can look at this far out is ensemble data. What an ensemble model does, it is just sort of it takes the initial model and then it changes the initial conditions and runs the model again. And so you do that enough times and you average them out, you can get a little bit of a better idea, maybe average out some of those errors. And so notice what the different 20, we have in the GFS ensembles, there are 20 different members. So you get 20 different solutions. You can kind of average them out. I don't have the average shown here for you, but I'm showing the individual members. All I'm doing here is I wanted to show you that there's a lot of disagreement in the data. A very minor event there, but look at this. Hefty event, very heavy event, very heavy event. This one is well north of us here. This one is a direct hit right over Kentucky and southern Indiana. Heavy, another big heavy, another big heavy one. A heavy one, but we are just barely missing out here in southern Indiana. But it's a big hit for Kentucky. Another huge one here, but all of these show some snow for us. But you notice the positioning on these just vastly different. It's not uncommon this far out. It's only Monday evening as I'm recording this, and folks, this is going to happen on on Saturday. So you still got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to happen before you get to the 5th day, which is Saturday. So we're 5 days out from this so far. The good news is data will start to get a little bit better as we trend in time. Why is that? We'll end on this. Well, where's the storm system at right now? Well, let me show you that we're looking at the energy in the upper level atmosphere, and you see this little bowling ball sort of rolling on shore here. This is an upper level low. That's what's going to spawn this. And so as I move forward in time, here it is. There's Saturday afternoon, and so there's the surface low somewhere down in here. Here's the upper level energy that's formed that surface low coming up here. So let's sort of trace this back. When does it start to come on shore? It starts to come on shore with this mess right here. Well, that starts to come on shore late Tuesday night into early Wednesday. So the good news is, as we get after tomorrow and into Wednesday, I think the models will start to get a little bit better handle on this. Why? Because the energy is going to be coming into our upper air network. We have 3 or 4 air balloon stations here where air balloons are released. They measure atmospheric data as you go up into the atmosphere. All that is ingested into the models, and it helps with greater accuracy. We do have some data out in the sea from buoys and things like that, but we don't really have much in the upper air network out there. And so once we get it on shore, things will start to vastly improve. I think Wednesday and Wednesday night and maybe even Thursday possibly as whenever we can start to dial in more specific on this as far as that goes. And so if we start to think then about what we could sort of suggest with this, let me just sort of I'll draw out a line here. Again, the low starts to form. The low forms out in here and starts to move somewhere. Again, some of them take it sort of out like this. Some of them want to deepen the low and go more like this. It's really just going to depend on the track of the low and how strong this Arctic high pressure is up to our north. But in general, my gut instinct says anywhere in this area right in here needs to be worried potentially about snow on Saturday. And we'll sort of go from there. Yes, I do think Indianapolis southward would have a chance. Although right now, the leading edge of the line on all of the data is sort of right in this area. I do think it could trend a little bit further to the north. Oftentimes what happens with these systems whenever we're several days out is you get closer to the event and it sees that high pressure that's well up here to the north, oftentimes it's over modeled on most of the models. Right now, it wants to take it at about a 1036. That's an extremely large high pressure. There was another snowstorm that we faced in a similar setup with this back in February of 2015. It was showing a very similar Arctic high pressure, and it was wanting to suppress it to the south. That dumped multiple inches of snow on us, and you know what happened? The high pressure was actually about 1024. It was way over modeled, way stronger than what it ought to have been. Could be that our models are doing the exact same thing again. And if it is over modeling, then that snow is certainly, that shield is going to lift up to the north, and you're going to see more of that northern track than you do the southern track. So again, anywhere from Indianapolis on southward through Kentucky, I think needs to watch this one, and we'll fine tune that as we get closer. That's it for this update, folks. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite, WilhiteWX.com. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter if you haven't yet, @WilhiteWX, for more frequent updates.